Okay, so today we're going to make a quick video on designing a pirate chest in a mini pirate chest for my grade 7 IA class. And they're going to build this out of laminated pine. And so here we go. So first thing we're going to do is I'm going to pan over. We're using Sketchup for Schools app. I've already saved, we're set where I'm going to save it, and I've changed the name. So now we're going to hit R for a rectangle tool. We're going to start by making the front and back piece. So the front and back piece is going to be 5/8 thick, comma, by 10.5 inches or 10.5. We're then going to get our push-pull tool, P for push-pull, click, release, drag it vertical. We're going to make that 5 inches high. All right, hit your space bar, triple click the piece to select it, and right click or type G. We're going to make a component. We're going to call this the front back, glue it to any, and say OK. Next thing that we're going to do is we're going to orbit around to the back side of that piece, and we're going to get a rectangle tool again. We're going to click this end, this corner. We're going to type in 5, 5/8, enter, and hit our push pull. Click on that surface that we just created, and we're going to type in a length of 7 inches, 7, enter, spacebar, triple click, G, we're going to call that the end, go to any, we're going to say OK. So anytime you make a piece in SketchUp, you want to make sure that you make it a component. Students should know that by now. All right, so hit your space bar, select the end piece. We're going to hit M for move and Control to copy. So you get that little plus symbol there. Move, copy, move, copy, move, copy. There we go. That's with the Control key. And I believe it's Option on the PC if you're working on Option on the Mac computer if you're working on a Mac. All right, we're gonna copy using this intersecting point, top right corner of that piece, because that's going to intersect at the other corner of the front piece. Hit my space bar, I'm going to select the front. And speaking of copying, so move, Control, we're going to copy the front to the back to make our back. We're going to orbit now, so O for orbit. We're going to orbit underneath. We're going to look at the bottom of it. We're going to hit R for a rectangle. We're going to make a rectangle from inside corner to inside corner. We're then going to orbit back up again. And we're going to get our push-pull, so P for push-pull. Click and release on that surface. Drag it vertically, so along the blue axes. We're going to type in 5/8, enter. Our space bar, we made a new piece. We need to make it a component. So we're going to triple click again, 1, 2, 3. If you're not sure whether you clicked the right amount, because it'll look the same if you only click it twice, except that if we go to the bottom, we can see that everything has been selected, all sides, all dimensions of it. Now we're going to type G. We're going to call that the bottom. We're going to glue to any. Okay. Next then, we have our box made. So we're going to now orbit so we can see the end of this project. I like to have it not quite in a full isometric view, but something like that. We're going to find our 2-point arc tool, and we're going to select this point right here on the screen. And we're going to select our second point, hence 2-point arc. And we're going to drag it vertically. Now, if you're having a hard time getting it to go along the blue axes, you can just type in the up arrow on your keyboard, and that constrains it to that vertical axis, that y-axis. We're going to type in either 3.5, or we can go till it's a half circle. It should snap to it, though I've been having issues with that, so I'm just going to type in 3.5. Perfect, there we go. Now you see that that's not filled in. So we need to get our L tool, our line tool, so type L, and we're going to draw a line across the bottom to fill that in. Now we're going to get our push-pull, P for push-pull. I am going to orbit a little bit more to the side because there's a little trick for this. You can type in 5/8 because that's the measurement that we want, or we can line it up with that thickness of the wall below. So there we go. tip of that arrow. New piece means, you guessed it, new component. So select it all, type G. We're going to call this the lid end, not the lid tend. Glue to any, say OK. Okay, now we're going to copy that to the other side. So move, control, M, control. We're going to click that intersecting point so that it matches up, and really it wouldn't matter which one of these, as long as it matches. There we go, it's now placed. Now the last part that we have is the most complicated by far on this project. So bear with me, I hope I don't make any mistakes doing this. This is about my 4th attempt at trying this. I've done it successfully once. We're going to get a rectangle tool. We're going to make a piece then that is 10.5 inches by 5/8. Enter. Oh, direction going. So yes, we could rotate it, but that's just seems like it's going to be a pain. I'm not sure why, but sometimes with the rectangle tool, it kind of focuses from the center of the piece. There we go. So if that happens, just get a new tool, get a different tool, make something, delete it, and then it should be good to go again. So click, release, drag. I'm going to pay attention to the numbers down in the bottom right corner because I have this super long and skinny. The second measurement is going to be my length. So I'm going to go 5/8, comma, 10.5, and that should work better this time. We're going to get our push-pull again. We're going to pull that up. We're going to pull that up to be 1 space 1/16 of an inch. Something just looks a little off of that, so it's always good to just change your view. Oh, that's why it's down below. I didn't make it attached to the axes. Not a big deal. So we're just going to leave it where it's at. Although I suppose we could move it, so I'm just going to select it all, bring it on up and over. Perfect. All right. I'm going to type Z for zoom. I'm going to right click. I'm going to change my view to zoom window. So I'm going to zoom in on this one specific part right here. It's a little too close, so I'm going to back up just a bit. Perfect. Orbit a little picky with my views. Just sometimes it makes things easier in the long run. Now I'm going to get my protractor tool. And so that's this one right down here. Right there's where you find that. I can't seem to find a shortcut, a keyboard shortcut for that. So I'm going to hit the right arrow though. Oh, sorry, left arrow on mine. We're going to go along there, and I'm going to click this corner, click the second corner, and we're going to make this a 7.5 degree angle. So 7.5, enter. We're going to do the same thing down here. Click, click, go up. 7.5, enter. We're going to get our line tool. So we've got our line tool. We're going to draw a line across those guide lines that we just made with our protractor. And we're going to get our push-pull, and we're going to click on that surface and push it back the length of there. Now the neat thing with the push-pull tool is that if you double-click to repeat that same one, it'll just get rid of it. There we go. So that is gone. Next thing then, new piece. We need to make it a component. We're going to call this the slats. Glue to any, say OK, perfect. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to rotate this. We could move it into place and then rotate it, but this is just going to make it a little bit easier. So we need to get a rotate tool, and Q is the shortcut for the rotate tool. It's a little confusing because it looks similar to the protractor, but this will actually rotate the piece itself. So I'm going to hit that left arrow to constrain it to the angle that I want, so the side. And I'm going to click 2 points. I'm going to go with those 2 points, and I'm going to bring it down until it is at 7.5. Type in 7.5. Enter. So that's the angle that we want. I'm going to hit my select tool, make sure I don't accidentally rotate that again. I'm going to zoom out, pan up, so with my hand tool, and we're going to get our move tool now, grabbing onto this outer bottom corner. I'm going to connect that to that point. Okay, now I'm going to get my zoom, right click, zoom window. I want to be able to see this whole top area. So like so. Oh, that didn't quite work out so well. So I'm going to move over, zoom out just a touch. There we go. So that's going to help us to be able to see all this. I'm going to get my rotate tool again, so Q. And this is kind of neat. We're going to do an array around a circle, and it's something I haven't done a lot of, so bear with me if I make a mistake. But hit that left arrow again to constrain it. So we have a rotate tool, but we're going to hit control, similar to what we did for copying. So we're going to copy this slat around to the other side. So I'm going to find my midpoint on this line. That's going to be our pivot point. And I'm going to go out to this top outer edge of the slat. I'm going to copy it around and kind of see how it's going to work already. I'm going to place it down in that corner. Now I've already tried this a couple of times, so I think it's going to be about 10 slats in between, so 12 slats total. We're going to divide this then by 11. So we're dividing the space into 11 equal pieces, 11 equal spaces, which means we're going to have 10 pieces. Enter. There we go. And it's not perfect. We're going to have a little bit of gaps here. And I know that when I'm cutting on the table saw, one pet peeve of mine with Sketchup is that I haven't been able to seem to figure out how to change it so it can go down to 30 seconds or 64ths of an inch. But that's pretty darn close. When I cut on the table saw for the kids, these strips, I'm just going to allow a little bit more, maybe a 32nd of an inch more than 1 1/16 for that width across the outer part of the slats. Okay, and so we're going to orbit now. Double check, everything looks good. There's a tiny gap, but like I said, we can make that a little bit bigger. You notice that the angles are matching up, and that's really key. It took me a few times of trying different things, and then I kind of figured out the trick to it. So that is the pirate chest. We are going to Control Shift E so you can see it all. We're going to put some hinges on the back part of the lid. We're going to glue, air nail everything together. We've got some neat little latches and some old-timey padlocks with ancient style keys that are going to go with it. So it's just a neat little project, and I hope you've enjoyed this and learned a few things. To make this even look fancier, I suppose we could paint it. So we just need to find our materials. Oh, that's our components. There we go. Still getting used to this SketchUp for Schools app. I'm used to the desktop version, the older 2016 version, but still, as I get to use this more and more, I think it's fantastic, and it's definitely more user-friendly, especially for kids that are getting used to using the Google products. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll catch you the next time around.